Hey there, I'm Jacob Hartz. This is Generational Wealth, and I am here with Rhonda Abrams. Rhonda, how you doing?
It's me. I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure to have you. So first of all, I want to just say, you're one of my favorite advisors to work with.
Obviously.
And I don't tell that to everyone, just my favorite advisors. But you are a unique person in this industry. You started your own boutique philanthropy advisory firm called Legacy Impact Group. We're going to talk about that a lot more in just a little bit. But first, more to the point, I want to get to know you a little bit more. So we're going to do a quick icebreaker intro game. Is that cool with you?
Let's do it.
All right,
Game on.
fantastic. Rhonda, LA or San Francisco?
LA.
LA or Seattle?
Seattle.
Seattle or Portland?
Portland.
Portland or Chicago?
Chicago.
Chicago or New Orleans?
Chicago.
Chicago or Atlanta?
Chicago.
Chicago or New York?
Chicago.
Hunter Biden or Eric Trump?
I refuse to go there.
You refuse to go there. But I mean, Hunter Biden's an artist, a successful one at that. Let's talk about where you come from. So you are from Los Angeles.
I am.
Or LA,
Yeah.
as people say who are in the know.
Really, the Valley.
The Valley, a Valley girl.
Yes.
Right here in Chicago.
Through and through.
So tell us about kind of how you grew up, what your family was like.
Yeah.
Where do you come from?
Sure. So grew up in Southern California in a suburb not dissimilar from the northern suburbs of Chicago, a very privileged suburb. I will say that it wasn't until I got a little bit older that I realized that the privilege around me wasn't the same privilege that I had in my own house. And I was so lucky to grow up in the beautiful, quiet suburb that I grew up in with amazing public schools and amazing opportunities. But I was also on scholarships to go to the beautiful sleepaway camp that I went to. And my family needed a little bit of extra help in order for us to live the life that those around us were living, which it makes you appreciate. It makes you appreciate what you have and what you're able to do with what you have.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it takes getting out of that bubble to really see how good you had it.
Totally. Mm-hmm. And did you, were you were aware of that at the time? Like, did people talk about that as a kids?
My friends weren't talking about what they had or what they didn't have, but it was also kind of clear when you would go to people's houses.
Got it. It was more just kind of like you noticed things.
Yeah.
There's a subtext.
And then when people started getting
Vacations.
cars, what
Yeah.
cars were they driving to the lot at high school?
Sure.
Right. And
Sure.
I drove my 1990 Honda Accord.
Amazing.
With 200,000 miles on it. And that thing rocked.
Yeah.
Right. But I had friends that had, brand new name the car.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I'm imagining season 2 of the OC when Lindsay shows up in her, car with all the hippie progressive bumper stickers.
Yep.
And everyone's driving their Range Rovers.
Yep. Totally.
Yeah, that's California. It's all there.
California, here I come. Yeah. It wasn't until I went off to college and I went to the Claremont colleges in California, very prestigious consortium of schools. I went to Pitzer, and most people there, or at least most of my friends, their parents were paying for them to be there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very expensive school. Mm-hmm. I got a ton of need-based scholarships to be there. And so it wasn't until that was a thing that some of us did talk about, especially those of us who worked in college like I did.
Yeah. I feel like that gives you such a different appreciation for being at college.
Yep.
And taking advantage of it.
Yep.
So you were at Pitzer. I assume you're a finance major.
No. Let me tell you.
What did you study in college?
I created my own major because I went to a hippie school.
Nice.
So I did psychology and nonfiction writing.
Amazing.
Yep. Which honestly helps me a lot in the work that I do now.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a rabbi when I went into school.
Fantastic.
So I would say I took a pretty hard pivot at some point. And then I realized that I wanted to likely go into nonprofit work, which is ultimately how I've spent most of my career up to about a year ago.
Yeah.
And so I knew that in the nonprofit space, it would be very helpful to have a psychology background and also to be able to write and communicate. So when I left college, I went into nonprofit and I was in fundraising. That was kind of where I accidentally ended up and spent 15 years of my life building a career in that space.
Do you feel like you went into nonprofit for the same reasons that you wanted to become a rabbi?
Yes. Yeah. I wanted to help build communities. And it made sense to start doing that by making sure the communities could be built at all with the funds that they needed to do it.
Nice.
So started off as an admin assistant for, in a development department, and ultimately was running, as the head of development for a local organization here in Chicago 15 years later.
Yes.
Yep.
Which, I mean, that's when I met you first.
Yeah.
That's where you were.
Yep.
You were the rock star fundraiser for Mishkan, by all accounts, crushing it. And then you decided to start Legacy Impact Group.
Yeah.
And so kind of tell me about what led to that change, because you had been, as you said, in the nonprofit world for many years. I don't know if this was a pivot or really more of a progression. How would you see it?
I think it ultimately is a progression that I took. I realized that I had all of these very deep relationships with donors that I had built over many, many years across different jobs, across different state lines. And what I was noticing at the same time was that in my personal life, philanthropy has become even more important within the family that I married into, within my immediate household, with my husband and the children that we're raising. Giving back is so important to us. And what I'm able to do now is drastically different than what I ever thought I would be able to do, given how I grew up.
So tell me a little bit more about that progression.
It's interesting because it never felt uncomfortable for me to be around folks with wealth. I know for others who maybe came from a similar background to me, it's definitely uncomfortable for them. They can't relate. But for me, when I'm with people who care about making the world a better place, that is a great equalizer. And I've always cared about making the world a better place. So certainly there's some terrible people who have a lot of money, but I happen to know a lot of amazing people who have a lot of money. And over the course of my career, getting to know some of those people, being able to help them change the world in their own unique ways by raising money for the different causes that I was working for, causes that resonated with those donors, it made me feel even closer to these people because we were both trying to do the same thing.
Fantastic.
So in the meantime, also married into a very generous family, one that really lifts up philanthropy in a big way across all of the different sectors of the family. And it's been a great motivator for me to start even sooner in my life, caring about how I can use my own wealth and privilege younger than I thought I would to start making a difference. While all of that was happening and bubbling up, I'm noticing in my work life in fundraising that there's all these families that have similarly aged kids or young adults, or I guess I'm not that young anymore, adults who G2s who, like me, were starting to think about how we could turn our wealth and privilege into translating that into doing good for the world. But there weren't many people advising those families who were the same age as those adults.
For sure.
Ergo, Legacy Impact Group. And so I was thinking about what was going to be next for me, I think probably for about a year before I left my job, and just feeling like I needed a new creative challenge.
Amazing. So like when you were raising money from people, you were kind of like seeing these trends and becoming aware more. And so not only through your work, but also through your family, of next generation giving.
Yeah.
And so what has the process been like? So you started Legacy Impact Group about a year ago?
Yeah, about a year ago, which kind of came to be earlier than I thought it would, because I was figuring out exactly where in the philanthropy space I wanted to sit. I was already on the one side of the table, which was, asking people for money and helping them do good with that money. But I knew I wanted to be on the funder side. And I thought maybe I would work for a big foundation. I didn't know exactly what it would look like. And I'm so grateful for a friend of mine who was a former donor of mine around the same age as me, who in conversations with her about what I might do next on the funder side, she gave me an opportunity to work for her family foundation.
Awesome.
As their first staff person that they've ever had, and to help them at a fractional level to operate, to think more strategically, to bridge the gap multi-generationally within the family. And I realized that that was my shot and I needed to take it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So starting with that opportunity, what came first? The idea for your business or the opportunity that presented itself and you're like, oh, this could turn into something real?
Yeah, that.
The second one.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, it presented itself and it really sparked something in me that I hadn't felt for a really long time, that creative energy that I was looking for. And I realized that there was really a there, and it was worth taking a shot. And if there was that family that was interested in that, and I knew that I was noticing more of that need out there, I just hadn't put my finger on who those people were, how to find them, but I knew that that was a need and it was proving itself with one family. I was fairly confident that there would be others. For sure.
And so that initial need, you know, is kind of like helping one family give away their money, right? And other things too. What are the things that you initially came on to do for that family?
Yeah, so for that family, it was really professionalizing and formalizing a lot of the work that they had already been doing for many years without a staff support person in place. So coming up with a grant management system of sorts for them, preparing new grant applications that they could use when they weren't actually even using applications, leading family meetings, organizing the family meetings. There were never even really family meetings before. And so also helping them think through what really matters to them. You don't need to just be giving your money away to the same things every year unless that's what you want. But this family, it turned out, they wanted to think a little bit more strategically about how they were allocating their funds. And so I've been able to help them do that.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so starting with that one, and now kind of like as you've met with so many people and, you know, brought on new clients and sort of like grown your business over this year.
So many people.
So, yeah, I think you've had coffee with more people than Northwestern Mutual insurance salesmen.
That is really saying something.
Which is a lot, and shout out to insurance. Yeah. But that is very impressive, and you're like an extremely well-connected person, both just because of what you did before, but also just because of your initiative in getting in front of people and meeting the right people out there. How has that evolved your vision of what this firm does?
Well, I think that every opportunity to be in front of somebody new, I learned something, whether it's about the field or about that person, or oftentimes about myself and my own business. I've definitely evolved the ways that I'm able to support families and what I even lead with, like how I'm able to offer my support based on the conversations that I've had with other advisors in the space, like estate attorneys who are working directly with families related to their philanthropy. They're so close to the work that it would be stupid to not take that information and use that to propel my work forward. So I think there's often a lot of give and take that's happening in those productive networking conversations where we can each learn from each other. So I would say one of the things that has kind of evolved through all of these many over 300 conversations I've had in the last year is, I think, how I think about and position the importance of the rising generation within a family structure and a family system. And it's been validated by so many of these external advisors, estate attorneys, name them, who are seeing a lot of tension within a multi-generational family with about what the millennial aged or millennial-ish aged adult wants, and the conflict between what the older generation is willing to do, or how they want to compromise, if at all.
Mm-hmm.
And really validating for me the need for somebody like me, or other people like me, to come in and to be a real bridge for that family. And when I initially started the business, I saw that need, but I wasn't quite sure how to articulate it.
Got it.
And now I'm realizing that if you lead with that, people are able to wrap their head a little bit better around the value that I'm able to add.
For sure. And would you say that as you're talking to new families and bringing on new clients, the reason why they work with you, is it to be that bridge, or is it to be kind of like the outsourced admin? What is the thing that's driving most people to work with you? Like, what's their pain point?
I will say, and I heard this not long ago about something else, if you meet one family, you meet one family. There is certainly a little bit of overlap between the clients that I have, but they are all so unique in the reasons that they need my help.
Mm-hmm.
I've got on one end of the spectrum a family like the one I was mentioning, first clients of mine, who've been doing robust giving close to $1 million a year for many, many years. They've been doing the work. They just needed a bit of professionalization around it. But at the end of the day, they were doing it.
Yeah.
Right. They just needed a little bit of a push up the hill and maybe a handhold.
Yeah.
On the other end of the spectrum, I've got a brother and sister duo who inherited a foundation when their parent passed away about a year ago. And they have no philanthropic experience at all. They weren't involved with the foundation when their dad was living. And so they need coaching, and they have no idea how to do any of this work, where to give the money, how to even operate their foundation.
Got it.
And then, of course, you've got a lot in the middle. So every family is coming to this from a different point, which makes it even more important that I'm getting in front of other advisors, because they're meeting different kinds of people with different kinds of needs. But at the end of the day, where my heart is with helping, supporting families that have other rising generation aged leaders or plans in place to have those leaders.
Got it. So kind of like working with either G2s or young wealth creators potentially, or G3s or whoever it is, people who are kind of like carrying on their family's legacy.
Right. And I think that what many of those who are in that position are really valuing about what I bring to the table is that process matters so much to these rising generation folks. And often that either looks very different than the processes that existed before them, or there were no processes. Ultimately, process is really the binding force between all of these rising gens across the different families I work with. They want to establish processes around their giving, their family's giving, the operation of their foundation, in ways that either conflict with the processes that exist prior to them joining the work, or there were not even processes at all. And they're saying, we need process and structure, because actually that will create more fairness and more equity about our giving. And also within our family, it will create less tension. If there are systems in place, then we don't need to argue so much about why we're doing what we're doing or how we're doing it, because we're following the recipe.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So who are the families that you're kind of looking to meet? Like, who can you add the most value to?
Yeah, it's a family that either has an existing foundation or is hoping to start one with anywhere from, let's call it $15 to $50 million as the endowment. That means that they'll be giving away about $750,000 a year and up, where they, again, have a rising generation leadership in place, or want to plan for that to happen over the next few years and want to work on engagement of that generation, translating some of what's been happening with the generation above them or two generations above them into something that will be meaningful for them, and blending the values between the two. So I would say that, and ultimately folks who, of course, want to make the world a better place, but they wouldn't be doing this if they didn't.
Yeah. On that point, Do you have a set of values that you look for among your clients?
I'm sort of across the board, as are all my clients. The common denominator is that a majority of my clients are Jewish families. I worked in the Jewish fundraising nonprofit space for many years. That's how I grew up as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not exclusive to that, but a lot of my families do some faith-based giving, and they all do a little bit outside of that as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what's fun is that I do get to be a generalist, and I get to learn about all kinds of new things, whether it be homelessness in Chicago or human trafficking in Southeast Asia.
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to really expand my own knowledge in support of what the family's goals are and how they want to change the world.
Right.
But at the end of the day, of course, there are a few things that might be in conflict with my own values that I might turn away. And that has actually happened only one time.
Okay.
And I didn't end up ultimately working with that client because of it. But for the most part, I think it's really beautiful that my clients are giving to so many amazing causes.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are things that I would not choose with my precious resources. But it's awesome that they care enough about it to give their hard-earned money or their parents' hard-earned money or grandparents' hard-earned money away to make that cause, better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's kind of the advantage of being boutique is,
we go.
Yeah,
I can pick and choose.
You can pick and choose. You can choose your own destiny. And, you can really kind of look for the right fit for who you are and what you offer. So that's really amazing. All right. So Rhonda, as you know, I think books are really important and really show our personality. So I really think that understanding a person's favorite book is a good way of understanding that person. And I would like to ask you, what's your favorite book? Or what's the most impactful book that you have on your mind right now?
I'm so glad you've asked, because I just did a reread of my favorite book. I finished it about a week or two ago. I think this was my third or fourth time reading it. And I happen to have it here today.
You don't.
I really do. I had a feeling you'd be asking. It's called The Immortalists by Chloe Benjamin.
Wonderful.
This book, it is so delightful. And it really does relate to the work that I'm doing.
Tell me about it.
So it is about 4 siblings. They were raised in New York City in the 50s or 60s. When they were all young, they heard about a woman who was reading fortunes and was telling people when they would die. And they were curious. And one of the siblings convinced the others that they needed to go visit this woman. What she did was she told them each one by one on what date in the future they would each die.
Wow.
Yeah. The siblings didn't share that information with each other. You learn about the life or the end of the life of each of the 4 siblings, each of them grappling with the knowledge of when they might die, each of them having differing senses of whether they believe that date was true or if that woman knew what she was doing, if she was just, but ultimately watching them all come to terms with their own mortality and seeing how it affected how they made choices for the remaining days of their lives.
That's amazing. That's such a fascinating idea.
So fascinating.
If you could know how much time you had left in your life, how you would live your life differently. And I think the mind first goes to, if I had a short amount of time left, I would do so many things differently, because we all kind of assume that we've got, our entire lifespan left. I mean, if I knew that I only had a short amount of time left to live, I'd probably spend way more time with my family. And I would really focus on the things that are most important to me right here and now. Just the fact of knowing that you have 6 months, if that's going to make you spend time differently, then what if you have 6 months and you didn't know it? It's like, imagine living the last couple weeks or couple months of your life doing the things that didn't matter to you, and you didn't even know it at the time. So I can see why that book is so important to you as someone who thinks about legacy and philanthropy and giving. And so in my world of life insurance, we talk about this all the time. Why do people buy life insurance? It's not for yourself. You don't get a benefit. You're dead. It's for the people that you love. So like it really crystallizes the fact that the reason why you buy insurance, why you buy life insurance, why you do estate planning is because what's really important are those people, not yourself.
Absolutely. And the values that matter to you also, and making sure that your values live on beyond your lifetime, your values and your money.
Absolutely.
Both
Absolutely.
important. Do you have a grandpa?
I do, in fact. Yeah. My grandpa's 98, Kanahora. And something that he's told me many times, which has really stuck with me, was that he always thought that he would die at age 65 because that's when his parents died, more or less. And at their generation, the reason why the Social Security retirement age is 65 is because that was the life expectancy back in the 30s or whenever they started that. Now it's 80 something. And if you live to X number of years, if you make it to 70, you're probably going to make it to 90 or more. And so, our expectation of life expectancy has changed so much. And so my grandpa, who thought he was going to die at 65 and is now 98, he's told me many times how he considers every single day after 65 to be a gift and to be bonus years. And he's really, I will go on record on camera saying that he's a huge inspiration to me in the way that he thinks about his life and how grateful he is for everything and how he doesn't get caught up in a lot of low priority nonsense. He really puts family front and center. And I think that's maybe an outgrowth of living the last 30 plus years of his life with a lot of gratitude.
I can speak for all of your beloved fans when I say you got to bring him on the show.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear from him.
I would love that. That would be awesome.
I got a call yesterday from a potential client who I believe I will start to work with soon. She was referred to me through an estate attorney. Shout out to the estate attorneys. And she's in her mid 80s, and she just got a medical diagnosis that gives her about a 2-year outlook. And she was getting her affairs in order recently with this information and realized that her trust documents stipulate that 60% of her estate would be going to charity upon her passing. But she has not yet figured out which organizations would be the recipient of her gifts. And so she called me to say, I need help to figure out who's going to get my money, how I'm going to break up that 60%. I haven't really spent a ton of time thinking about how I want to leave this large sum of money. I've done some philanthropy in my life, but not a ton. And my estate is going to be worth more than the money that I've been able to give away every year. And I really don't know what to do. And I need to figure this out. Mm-hmm. And it really, first of all, made me so grateful that I get to do this work, because how meaningful is that I get to help someone figure out something that is so important, so impactful for the world. And also how much different her life may have been if she had done this 20 years ago, if she hadn't have waited. She may have learned about some new organizations in the process that she could have gotten involved with earlier, whether that be with her time or money or other things. Mm-hmm. She may have shared that information with friends who may have also given to some of these causes. Who knows what the ripple effects could have been? And I'm so glad that she's doing this work now, of course. But just made me kind of think about, reflecting back to the book, what could be different for us if we operated like we knew when the end was going to be here. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if we lived to our fullest extent and gave as much as we could to as many people as we could with as thoughtful of approach as possible.
Well, that's amazing. And I can see why this book is so impactful for you and important to you. And maybe it had a role in shaping who you are and how you approach your business and your life. So that's really cool. Rhonda, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I have one more question for you, which is...
Is everything okay? This feels very serious.
Yeah, this is a very serious question.
Okay.
It's, in fact, a life or death question. You've worked with so many different high-level advisors, financial advisors, estate planning attorneys, private wealth people, and you have probably one of the best networks in the city when it comes to this biz. So you could probably work with whoever you wanted for whatever you wanted. Who did you work with for your life insurance for your family?
Oh, wow. It's a really great question, Jacob. And the answer is Jacob Hartz at NFP Insurance, the best in the business.
Your check will be in the mail.
Thank you.
And that's not a rebate for all the compliance people listening. Anyway, Rhonda, this was so much fun. Thank you for coming. And I hope we'll see you again soon.
Sounds good.